Yeah, family, I just got back. I just got back from St. Petersburg. Let me tell you about St. Petersburg. It's an old city. I mean, very very old. It's kind of like the stepchild of Tampa. You know, St. Pete is in a bad situation. It's in a bad situation because I spent a lot of time in St. Pete, and you tell about some of the drone shots there. I spent some time in St. Pete. There's some of the places there, but St. Pete is not a place you really want to go to unless you got nothing else to do, or you're gonna bypass it and go to some other place like shopping, like the Premium Outlet Mall down in Ellington. I mean, it's just not. You know, when I think about St. Pete, I think about a city that's not thriving, and St. Pete is not thriving at all. So that's one of the things that I think about a lot when I go to St. Pete. It's an old city, and outside of the baseball team at the Tropicana, as they call it, there's not a lot to do in St. Pete. Now they got some restaurants, but they got weird hours too. It kind of reminds me of some of the other southern cities I've been to. How do you close on Monday, Tuesday if you are a commercial city and you depend on commercial business to help you thrive? You can't be closed when the people are there. I don't know what there really is to do in St. Pete. I really, really do not know what there is to do in St. Pete because I was there, and if you're not going to a baseball game, there's not a lot to do. St. Pete is a city of about 250,000 people. Maybe that's pushing it a little bit, but it really is this sister city of Tampa. Tampa has tall, nice skyline, a lot of things going on. I don't know. I don't even know what college or university is in St. Pete because I drove through it 3 or 4 times on US 19. The alternate route US 19, and I drove through it on 275. Pretty bridges, pretty roads, but I don't know why I would ever stop to get off in St. Pete. Now, the best thing about St. Pete that I can tell you about right now is that it is a gateway to Sarasota and some of the other cities in South Central, no, Southwest Central Florida. Yeah, that's what it is. It's the gateway to some of the other cities because St. Pete ain't got a lot. Now, I'm gonna tell you some of the pros, some of the cons. Some of the cons is that there's no reason to get off at any of the exits. Now, like I said, that's the con. I mean, there's just nothing to do there. There's no museums. There's nothing on any of the billboards or signage along the along the interstate to make you want to stop and get off. There's nothing at all. There's nothing that grabs me and said I should get off and see this. No, St. Pete don't have any of that. But I'm gonna tell you what St. Pete do have. I'm gonna go some of the pros. Great weather. It's not that hot. It's a little cooler than Tampa because you got a breeze coming off the bay, the Tampa Bay, and you got a breeze coming off the ocean. So that's very, very, very good. And I really, really enjoyed that. Now, saying that, they only got really one interstate that cuts through. That's I-275. It's a pretty, pretty, pretty bridge that when you leave St. Pete, you cross over into the mainland Florida on your way to Naples or Sarasota, whatever. That's pretty as hell. But at the same time, that's a toll bridge too. You're gonna pay money for it. You may not like it, but you're gonna pay money for it. It's hard to believe a city that size got one interstate and there's no other interstates. And that 275 connects with 75, I-75. And so that's kind of cool. But at the same time, there's not a lot else to do in St. Pete. Now, they do got one area, and I'm gonna tell you, like I said, the pros and the cons. They got an area called Gulfport. Gulfport is a majority black area of St. Pete. It's old, historic, nice houses, and they got a few decent restaurants, but they're not open on the days you know what? I got a feeling that no matter when you go, you're gonna find out that places you want to go are not open on the days you want to go. I found that out a lot about St. Pete, and I kept trying to figure out why people don't mess around with St. Pete very, very much. But it is what it is. St. Pete. So don't get discouraged. And Monday and Tuesday are bad days to be in St. Pete. But now they got some decent, what do you call it, city parks or county parks in Pinellas County. They got some nice parks, but some of them are real, real small. Some of them are very, very small, and that kind of disturbed me a little bit. But none of them were ever crowded or ever had people in them when I went. None of them. So that's one of the things that I really, really enjoyed is that I can take my little, cousins, my cousin kids out to the parks, and we can have a good place. Now, saying that, a few of the places that I did like about St. Pete was that they had some ice cream shops. So it was kind of, St. Pete is very, very family friendly. Yeah, there's no place I went to or saw or whatever that wasn't, I couldn't go there and do that. I could go there and do everything I want to do with little kids. It's very family oriented. And none of the prices were like crazy in some of the places I went to as far as getting a snack or getting a treat or whatever it was I wanted to do. None of them were very, 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 none of the prices are crazy. Now, St. Pete, like I said, the weather was great. The food, I didn't sample much as I want to because some places were closed on the days I went there. And that kind of bothered me and disturbed me a little bit. But, it is what it is. And don't get it mixed up between St. Pete and Clearwater and Tampa. No, Tampa is definitely the dominant city in that area. Tampa has it all. St. Pete has none of it. So, you go to places and when they talk about the restaurants and stuff, and they talk about the drinks before the food, that tells you a lot about a city. Almost every place I saw on the map, whether it was Yelp, TripAdvisor, my own research, they bragged about the drinks in St. Pete. They bragged, they bragged about the drinks in St. Pete, and it's just one of those things that I just said, hey, I didn't come here to drink. I came here to have a good meal. I couldn't find one, at least one that was open while I was there. Gulfport had places that looked like they had good menus, but they were closed. And then I went by the Trop, the Tropicana baseball field, and downtown looks like just a another city that I don't know. It was unimpressive, put it that way. And there's no way to get a good view of downtown St. Pete. I was looking for the skyline, some restaurants, or whatever have you. There was just no way to get there from St. Pete. And I feel bad because St. Pete been around forever. And it's been Tampa's little sister forever. But it looks like a lot of money has gone into building up Tampa, none to build up St. Pete. I think the tallest building there might have been 30 stories. And the food was all bar food. I don't care where you went to, they specialize in bar food. And that's just not me. Bar food is all right if you want to go look at a late night game or if you want to go and do some things, after work, whatever. Bar food's all right. But if I want a meal, I like to see protein or meat and some vegetables and a couple of sides. That's me. I don't want the first thing you tell me is how great your drinks are. That's not me at all. But some people, they that's what they get into. They want to know how great the drinks are. But at the same time, when you go to St. Pete, it is what it is. There is no reason to go there, and there's no claim to fame for St. Pete. And I feel bad for it because I think St. Pete is a very, very, very good city for a lot of different things. I just couldn't find out what those things were. Outside of taking the bridge across to the mainland Florida, the I-275 bridge, I could not find what else can drive me or bring me to St. Pete. I cannot find anything else. And you know what? It's a very clean city, easygoing. I don't think there's a lot of crime in St. Pete, but I cannot tell because there is nothing to tell me to get off the interstate. Everything I saw on the interstate says the next city is this distance. The next city is this distance. There is none of this museum of St. Pete, car museum of St. Pete or the Tropicana. It was a mystery that I had to find the Trop. Yeah, I had to use GPS because the sign, I think there's one sign on I-275 that tells you where the Tropicana baseball field is. And I know there's other baseball fields there because some of the minor league teams play there in baseball. I just did not see that signage or postage on a sign that says exit right here. Here you go to Tropicana. And the thing about it is the Tropicana is the Tampa Bay Rays is a big team. They're not like a minor league team. They're a big team, and I was thinking that they're gonna have 2 or 3 exits for me to go to that baseball stadium. No, they had one. They had one, and I just let it roll. As an old school traveler, I'm not gonna hunt you down to give you my money for your local economy, especially when I'm going out of my way to say, hey, this is worthwhile doing. No, I didn't get that feeling at all. It is what it is, But St. Pete ain't some place that you really want to go out of your way to go to. It's a place you go there if you got another reason to go. But don't go out of your way to go there, though. It's just not that kind of town. So there's not a lot more I can say about St. Pete. Outside of, I couldn't find a lot of mom and pop restaurants. I couldn't find a lot of things. Now, they got all the chains, and it seemed like they're just a chain city. And when I tried to go to the local mom and pop restaurants, they were all closed. On a Monday or Tuesday, they were all closed. And Gulfport is where everybody said, you got to go eat, you got to go eat, you got to go eat. Well, they're all closed. It is what it is. So that's my take on St. Pete. I ain't got a lot much other to say than great weather, hotels are cheap. The food was more like bar food. And there's nothing to do in St. Pete unless you in St. Pete to visit a relative that you don't like. This is the Old School Traveler. Peace. Hey, the one thing about St. Pete, I told you St. Pete is not very diverse. I was very, very serious. It's not very diverse. It is what it is. And you got your cities that you're going to like in St. Pete. You got some you're not going to like. But it's not a very, very diverse city at all. And you know what? I'm not sure why it's not. Because it's not like it's wealthy versus poor. Everybody seems to be in the same category. Everybody's in the same category. So, would I go to St. Pete again? I would. I don't know why I would. But I would because St. Pete didn't cost me anything as far as any anger, remorse, or feeling a certain way. It was just like, blah. Just city just rolled right through. But I know there's more to it than what I saw. And I would go to it just to see that. And even if I went to just a baseball game, I would just want to ride around and see the rest of St. Pete. I rode around a lot and saw a lot, and you see from these videos, but I didn't see anything to make me want to go back. That's sad. I didn't see nothing to make me want to go back, but I didn't see anything to make me not want to go back either. That's the tough part. I didn't see nothing that says you should go back. You should not go back. I didn't see either or. It is what it is. So, okay, so, like I said, St. Pete is a city that you have to decide for yourself, is it worth going more than once? I didn't see it worth going more than once. I really didn't. But I didn't see anything to say I should not go more than once. And that's kind of the funny part about it because that's probably where I stand at. Now, if I got St. Pete and other options, I'm not going back. It is what it is. I would go somewhere else. I'm not going back at all. I would go to other places before I go to St. Pete again. But if I went back to St. Pete again, I would not be mad or angry or in a certain situation. Like I said, I just didn't get the idea that I should go back, but I didn't get the idea that I should never go back because I do like the sunshine. I do like the beaches. I do like all that kind of stuff. And St. Pete has all that. I do like the weather. St. Pete has all that kind of stuff. I just didn't see a need for me to want to go back. So your old school traveler saying that if you had a chance to go back to St. Pete, I would not be against you having a chance to go back. I would not be against if you never went back. Yeah, it's kind of like Arizona. I mean, what's there to do? I start looking at, mud. And if you're not looking at mud, you're looking at desert. So St. Pete is one of those cities that there's nothing wrong with going back. I just didn't see anything right with going back. And that's where I'm from. When it comes to spending my money and my time, I want to go places that are exciting if I'm going twice. If it's not exciting, I'm not going twice. I can be bored anywhere, but that's not my personality. So that's what I meant when I said St. Pete is a tough decision because, like I said, you got the beach, the sunshine, you ain't got the food, you ain't got no food trucks, a lot of things you just don't have there. Now, will they ever have that? Can they get that? Do they know they can get that? I think that it doesn't matter to them. I don't think it matters to them at all. I think St. Pete is kind of like, if you come, you come. You don't, you don't. We don't care. We're not a tourism city. We're not a city that's going to beg you to come. And we're not worried about if you don't come. You come because you enjoyed something. And, people from Tampa go over there for baseball. But if you didn't have the baseball, would anybody from Tampa go to St. Pete? Probably not. Probably not. I just don't see it that way. So this is your old school traveler saying St. Pete, one of those cities that I'm on the fence with as far as going there twice. I'm definitely not going to go there twice and spend money twice. It's got to be something that just intrigues me or something I just got to be there for, like maybe a family reunion. But other than that, though, I'm not going to St. Pete twice unless I got no other place in the world that I want to visit and have not visited yet. And this is just my fallback card. So this is your boy, the old school traveler talking to you saying, St. Pete is what it is and what it is. Don't waste your money if you got to go twice and it's on your own dime. Peace.